both colored and born free. Colored is a racial classification given to me by an apartheid government, and born free refers to people born after 1994 into a supposed free and racially undivided democratic South Africa. In this project, I dissect my experience as a so-called colored, and I created music centered around themes important to this experience. These themes include transformation, the colored identity, the black and colored relationship, and the colored mentality. My aim is to bring awareness, inspire, and create a sense of hope, empowerment, and unity within the South African experience. As far as my compositional approach, it's in my nature to do things intuitively. So in writing music for this project, I spent a lot of time trying to understand the subject and made choices regarding melodies, harmonic colors, and grooves, mostly based on feeling. I also took an electronically produced approach to some of the songs, as this informs my musical identity. These are some of the genres and musicians I drew influences from. So the first song is called An Incomplete Transition. When talking about post-apartheid South Africa, we have to speak about how the lack of complete transformation has led to a fragile, unequal society between race and class groups. In a recent study by the World Bank Group, they found that South Africa is the most economically unequal country, and that racial inequality is a prominent factor behind this. So with an incomplete transition, I use this harmonically ambiguous piano ostinato to create the expectation of something promised but never being delivered. I also included a quote by social commentator Dr. Leonard Martin, in which he talks about abolishing notions of race to complete the transformation process. We will now listen to the head from where the melody starts and a little bit of the piano solo section.
Racism is a deep disease in our social-political fabric, and for the next generations, the responsibility of our leaders in this generation is to clear the ground in order for a healthy humanity to take place, to actually redesign, reconfigure our social space in order for that equality, but also human self-respect to begin to grow again.
Thank you. As most of you know, apartheid was a system of institutionalized racism, and this race hierarchy was based on the Population Registration Act, which classified and divided citizens according to their race and ethnicity. From top to bottom, this hierarchy was white, Indian, Asian, colored, and black. Let's quickly understand the South African context of colored and black. I've also included actual extracts from the population registration. As you can see, black people make up 79% of the South African population, and they are descendants of Nguni people, which is a group of Bantu people who speak primarily Nguni languages. And colored people only make up 9% of the South African population. And they are not only mixed race, but they are a multi-ethnic group of people with ancestry that includes Khoisan, the first indigenous people of Southern Africa, as well as Bantu, European, and Asian. It's worth noting that race and ethnicity can be highly subjective, and the lines between these two concepts often become blurred. So because the colored identity is not homogeneous, classifying a multi-ethnic group under one label creates problems in the way we see ourselves and in the way society views us. With this theme, I specifically wanted to focus on a part of our identity that often gets denied, our Africanism. Already in the Population Registration Act, we are seen as not native. So our Black African identity is important since this leads to the socio-economic marginalization when it comes to reparations in a post-apartheid South Africa. The song Bendlamini Stomp was inspired by recent protests in South Africa by colored communities reclaiming this African history. The First Nation movement is a group advocating against the socio-economic exclusion of colored, Khoisan, and mixed-race people. To get a sense of what this looks like, this is a specific protest that happened in Johannesburg last year, known as the Gauteng Shutdown.
Blood Friday, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa is about those people who have lost their lives. But we are not starting here. We don't want to start in Mitchell's Plain and Westbury and in Rivoli and El Rada Park and Rege Park and Eersteres. We want to start at the beginning when our forefathers were slain, brutally murdered. And that's where we've got to start. Nobody has accounted. Nobody has atoned the blood of our forefathers. The blood of our forefathers is calling from this land. We've got to address that. That's what Blood Friday is about.
This is a challenge. Here's a challenge coming to the Premier. When will you visit all classified colored areas to see how much you have neglected us?
So personally, I've often battled with my own identity as African, and through many conversations, especially this one with Randy Weston in his Brooklyn home, as well as a book by Sylvia Vollenhoven, in which she speaks about finding belonging by listening to messages from your ancestors in your DNA, I've decided that firstly, I am African. Politically, I am black as a protest against this colonial classification. I'm pictured here with my family in front of their home on the Cape Flats, an area where many colored people were forcibly moved during apartheid. Culturally, I am colored. The name Bendlamini comes from a nickname I was given by black musicians in South Africa, which combines my name with a Nguni name by way of acknowledging my black African identity. I attempted to combine all these identities together in a protest song, or Stomp, which is created by this piano and bass ostinato figure. So, thank you. So within the created identities of colored and black, it was a part of an apartheid divide and rule strategy that was meant to inhibit the development of political alliance. So the relationship between these two groups are frequently based on a perceived lack of similarity and a heightened awareness of difference. With Kwaito Klopse, I plan to musically show how we are more alike than we are different by fusing the grooves of two music traditions, namely the Klopse tradition and Kwaito music, as well as highlighting South Africa's love for dance and dance music through creating a dance track. Klopse is a minstrel tradition born out of the abolishment of the Cape slave trade. It's very similar to the Mardi Gras tradition in New Orleans. This is what it sounds like. Kwaito music is a variant of house music which features the use of African styles and electronic samples. It emerged in the black townships of Johannesburg during the 1990s. It's also worth noting that these are Pantsula dances. It's a dance culture that was derived, that Kwaito music was derived from. I'll reference this later again. So from these two grooves, I developed my own groove in 5/4, which is held together by Danilo's 5/4 clave. The bass and piano parts imply a 4/5 feel, but is separated by an eighth note. I merge the Klopse and Kwaito kick snare pattern, and the melody that you'll hear later is simply a pentatonic, based on a pentatonic scale, which is characteristic of the African diaspora. In the next video, I've added a score so you can understand the development of the groove. And I've also synced this with a Pantsula dance, as well as added a scratch vocal track so that you understand the context of this music. This features South African vocalist Sakile Moleshe.
Trust me, surrender all the peril. Up in your mind, stay lovely. We can both be on this earth for our last days. Indulge me. Who got up my flame? Who got up my flame?
Thank you. Thank you. So what is the colored mentality in a post-apartheid South Africa? To understand colored people's attitudes towards South Africa, I looked at the South African Reconciliation Barometer, which is a survey done to measure citizens' attitudes towards social cohesion and transformation. And to understand how this attitude has manifested, I looked at race-based statistics. And this is what I found. There seems to be a cycle perpetuating a colored mentality of a low self-thinking. So if you look at it, it starts with a sense of socioeconomic marginalization, leading to minimal class mobility, leading to disillusionment in the current administration, and an obscured social identity, which then develops this low self-concept, destructive thinking, evident in many of these statistics. Having said that, the next song reflects my hope for the self-empowerment of colored people by breaking free from an apartheid mentality that was meant to diminish their self-worth. It is in 3 parts: acceptance, metamorphosis, and the resurgence. We will now listen to the song uninterrupted, and as you listen, please read through my intention as well as the musical execution thereof. Thanks. I do believe that racial inequality in South Africa is not specifically a colored issue, but we cannot deny people's lived experience. What makes this issue important to me is that here we have people that have been denied their history and their place in South Africa. They are trapped in terms of class and social mobility, and as a minority community, they are often overlooked. Going forward, colored people will have to reimagine an identity that is not just stereotypical but allows for different possibilities. What's important for us as Black and colored South Africans is to understand these multiplicity of identities through dialogue so that we become aware of the different parts that make up our being and culture. Mate.
Hello? Wow, what a powerful presentation.
Thank you.
Woo! I forgot to mention in the introduction that Benjamin advisor is Bruno Raber, and in the committee, Terry Lynn Carrington, so I'm immediately passing the microphone to you. That's what we do.
The rules changed since last year. That puts me in the hot seat again. Okay. Wow. I don't even know what to say because it really brought up a lot of emotion for me. And that's kind of the reason for me personally why I do music, is to feel things. And, just the parallels between, racial injustice in this country and racial and cultural problems and racial injustice in your country. It's so great to see those parallels because it makes us definitely understand more that we're a global community because people tend to live, in their silos. Anyway, amazing job. Even with your compositions, I could hear, what you were trying to convey. It was very clear, the first piece. Tell me again what the question was. You said the first piece asked a question. You composed the piano melody
It was
without being resolved.
It was about. It was supposed to give commentary to the fact that we were promised something of transformation and it was never delivered.
Right. Exactly.
So it was supposed to convey a feeling of something's coming, but it's not quite
right
there.
And it did. It conveyed that. Even you mentioned it with the piano melody, but I heard it especially also with the trumpet melody as well.
Okay.
So excellent job conveying that. The only thing I wish is that I know we have such a time constraint, but I was not able to actually fully read all the slides. Sometimes, the last one was easier, of course, but the ones before that went by so fast. It's difficult to. So I can't fully digest all of them. But we had talked before about all of it, so I understand. And I really do feel like you. From all of the thoughts that you've had about this, over the last few months, or I'm sure over your lifetime, but how it, how I just see that it came into a total full picture. You really nailed it, coming from all of the questions you had about how to present this, because it's a huge topic and very difficult to present, in a concise manner. Yeah. So kudos.
Thank you.
To that. The second piece, the stomp. Okay, so just in general, and it's probably, a bit of a general comment of wanting to hear a little more, well, let me see, how do I phrase this? I can hear, in some of the pieces, especially sometimes because of the rhythmic, the last piece actually felt a little more free rhythmically. But I can hear sometimes, the history of not being free. You know what I mean? And I think that you can explore more freedom in the music itself. And it's not, so that it doesn't always, or, this is just snapshots. So, but from our snapshots, so it doesn't, so it starts to lean more toward the freedom and the actual thing that you desire, opposed to commenting so heavily on the thing that has brought you to this place. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you could nail how to do then you're really onto something new. Because I can hear all the tradition, South African tradition in your music and in your writing, which is beautiful. And I'm not as familiar with, more contemporary, modern South African composers. I mean, I know kind of like the guys that everybody knows, legends. Right? Yeah, the famous ones. But so I think you're really onto creating a new sound that incorporates the freedom, that you really desire and that you deserve. So make that a reality in your composing and in your music, so that doesn't feel, you know, you don't feel all of the history. You know, you want to feel some of it, of course, but
Yeah.
I think there's a way to dance, you know, without having to feel that tightness. And I hate to say it, but, you know, like the confinement and the, you know, the chains that they, you know, were walking in. I still feel that in the music, and it's important. But again, I encourage you to try to, you know, incorporate these other things, because I haven't heard anybody really do that yet. Man. I mean, I'm going to stop there because I just thought the performance was great. The concept was great. The execution of it all was great. So, and this is also what I wanted to see, how you know, point to the future. And I think, you know, that's spot on as well. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Benjamin, first of all, I would like to comment on the music. Even if you would not say a word about what the music is about, I think you really convey a strong emotional component in everything I heard, and everything to me sounded very different, but very the same at the same time. So I know that's not an easy thing to do. You combine a lot of different elements that you're probably working on and listening from other artists, but I find that, you know, there was a very coherent musical connection, which was independent of your narrative, that amazingly, you know, you presented in such a powerful way. So I want to congratulate you to that. Regarding the music, the only comment that I have personally is the song that you used, the Culminating 5.
Yes.
What was the title of that one?
Quite so close, so.
Yeah, I think maybe you can find a way to use the same clave and like maybe similar to what you were saying, Terry, but don't make it so evident, you know, so because it can become boxing a little bit, which is a little bit in line with what Terry thinks, and that was to my taste.
Sure.
Now, the second thing I want to tell you is like comparing the way you presented this the first time in class, and now I am speechless, which in a way, to me, really makes me see that the limitation of 20 minutes, you know, you really have to focus on what is important to say and not repeat yourself. And so I really want to congratulate you. Made so much in 20 minutes and made such a clear statement. Finally, if you can, since you just had 20 minutes, can you talk a little bit more about the music program you want to do?
Okay. Should I start specifically? Can I say everything?
Please,
cool.
yes, go ahead.
So my future plans do include continuing my musical identity through this research. I plan to record more music with some South African musicians and possibly release this work as an album next year. I'd like to present a longer, detailed version of this presentation to the public, especially in schools and conferences centered around race, class, and social justice. At the moment, I see it as an hour and 30 long presentation with a live band component. I'm moving to New York for my OPT year. I do have a long-term goal or a long-term idea of, together with a music therapist, to develop a program specifically at tertiary level in Cape Town that is based on the Global Jazz Institute's model of instilling a sense of social justice within musicians. At the moment, this is just a thought and this is an idea I have. I've not done any concrete plans to actually make this happen, besides have conversations with people about it. So that's where I'm at.
Yes,
would you like to know anything more?
Yeah, I not just an encouragement to bring this project also to university and as many places as possible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Since Bruno is not here, Chase, you want to take it?
John, my teacher, John Lockwood, is here. I don't know if you have anything to say, since he is South African. So I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, John, sorry.
No, I thought it was really excellent, and I love the way you showed the difference from the South African experience as opposed to the American experience, the little I know about it, because people over here don't quite understand how it works over there or how it worked. And what I also really loved was the way you presented the tradition, but in a contemporary fashion. And I thought it was great how you kind of, and I think you're really onto something with that.
Yeah.
And you're great. You're great. That's what I'm going to say. Very
Thanks, John.
fantastic.
Man, this is my first glimpse into the stuff you've been working on, and I was thinking basically the same kind of things Marco was thinking, that this is so powerful and needs to be shared with everyone. And so maybe you could talk a little bit about if you have some concrete steps in mind, or like just starting with a mission statement. Like, how are you going to present
I think that
this?
is the next step, starting with some kind of mission statement, trying to just align all these ideas and thoughts of what I have about these things. I haven't had a chance to really put in place concrete things since I've been so busy with this, but I think that's definitely the next step from here. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. For me personally, because when I was here and I was doing my own project, it was something that I imagined a future with, and that I wanted to bring it to places, right, and to share. So all the people here know this to the nth degree, and so I just reach out to Danilo, Otero, everyone here, and get those resources. Like, how do I go about making this into a tangible thing?
Yes.
Because it's so important and powerful. So thank you.
Thanks.
I love it. This year position of mine is the kind of the last comment, so I had to throw some punches, But it's coming out of love. This presentation, first of all, the level is so inspiring and high, So I was thinking, wow, how do we follow up to Connor? And this is what it takes, vision, to a different thing. You all getting into different things and excited about the world. In your case, I'm gonna explain. This is so inspiring, Benjamin. This is like UNESCO material. You have to. I hate that word, you have to, but you must. You had to, UNESCO, you got to present this. This could become something very special for you, for your people, for the voice. This can come out really strong. I actually disagree with what Marco said about the clave. I'm gonna be like the guy from the Will Ferrell show, more cowboy. Yeah. So it's not really about the clave being lower or not being there. It's about the invisibility of those things that Terry Ling is talking about. It's like, how do you create a pattern and then create the illusion that you're going for what is there? What is there? You know what I mean? It's not. It's really, it's like Wayne teaches about, you want to go to see what's in the mountain, like what's beyond the sound barrier, we call it. So you keep that in mind. I'm not going to say much because this is really powerful, and I've seen the amount of time and work you put into, man, and I'm a big fan of all this class this year, all of you guys. Couple comments musically that I think is important. I encourage you to continue. You have such a deliberate in everything you're doing. I'm missing out because I want to think about Benjamin playing trio, expanding. Now that you're moving to New York, keep developing your craft on the bass. Keep finding that center of that voice, and not swiveling around, like on the pitches. Also, think about orchestrally. You may want to have a solo sometimes as an exercise on the low registers. Not, there's a clear tendency to, when you're accompanying, you're on the low register, but when you're solo, you go on the high register. So it would probably be good exercise to say, okay, I want to create this solo on only the low register to see what's happening, especially on some of those songs that you're creating the mood. And I want to leave you with this thought of this year, meeting you as being really, really a learning experience for me, grow a lot. Let go of certainty. Certainty, it could be deceiving sometimes. The opposite is not uncertainty. It's openness. Creativity, which is curiosity, willingness, embrace paradox. You're moving to New York now, so embrace that paradox that's coming at you. Rather than making decisions like this or that, keep doing that. You did it this year. The ultimate challenge is not to accept ourselves. It's to accept ourselves as we are. That's what you did this year, man, for me. But never stop trying to learn and grow. You are into something very special, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Benjamin Jephta.